Brothers and sisters, I leave you with this. The Prophet once gave an analogy. Think about it, and then we conclude. He compared the Muslims with the disbelievers. And he said the Muslims, in comparison to the disbelievers, is like a black hair on a white ox, or a white hair on a black ox. And you know what that means? That means that there's a distinction between a Muslim and a non-Muslim, isn't there? And every decision that you make, believe me, if you make that one decision that I want to be Muslim, I didn't say make the decision to say that I'm Muslim, but make the decision that I want to be Muslim. The moment you make that decision, then every other decision you make will be based upon that decision. If you take a road and you go right on that road, then you're going to run into a lot of little roads on that road. Little decisions. For instance, I spoke to a young sister in her 20s the other day, a Muslim sister. And she says, Imam Siraj, a couple years ago, I was in a abortion clinic. And I met another Muslim sister there. And you know what I found out? Any imam will tell you that whatever problems we're having in the dunya, we're having the same problems in the Muslim community. How many of you know a Muslim girl who has had a baby without being married? Raise your hand. Look, raise your hand. Hi. How many of you know? Put them down, put them down, put them down. How many, put your hand down. How many of you know a Muslim brother or sister who's on drugs? Raise your hand. Put your hands down. How many of you know a Muslim who have AIDS? Raise your hand. Look around. Why is it that everything that happens in the dunya is also happening in the masjid? How many of you know a Muslim who used to practice and no longer practices Islam? Raise your hand. Next year, at the camp, will somebody be raising their hand talking about you? Next year at the camp, when they ask how many young Muslim sisters got pregnant, will they be talking about you? Next year at the camp, when they ask the question, how many Muslim brothers on drugs, how many Muslim brothers in prison, will they be talking about you? So brothers and sisters, tonight, I simply want to ask you to make a decision that you want to be Muslim. And you know what that means? It means that you must be like a black hair on a white ox. You know what that means? You, brothers and sisters, as a Muslim, are supposed to be different. And you know what? You begin to start to look different. You dress differently. You talk differently. But what if you talk like everybody else? What if you dress like everybody else? What if you act like everybody else? That's what makes you Muslim. And you know, I'm not talking about nothing superficial. I was in South Africa, you know, and I was in the city called Johannesburg. And they had a brother from Bosnia, a qadi, a sheikh, alim. And you know what? They wouldn't let him give the Jummah khutbah. You know why? Because his beard wasn't long enough. Did it occur to them that just maybe he couldn't grow a beard higher or longer than what he had? I don't mean superficial things. You know why? Because a hypocrite can have a long beard and they can have a turban, and a hypocrite can wear kimar, and a hypocrite can wear niqab and she can cover her face. Hypocrites can do that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a difference in attitude and a difference in character.